Okay, so hi Jamie, welcome to Escape the Rat Race Radio today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Christian. How are you?
Yeah, I'm excellent, thank you. And it's really, really good to have you on. It's worth mentioning that your other half, Marissa, was one of our previous guests back on episode 33. And a lot has happened since then, not least that you've got married now.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to hear about your story of escaping the rat race too, because at that point you were still working and now you're both free working on the business. So it's going to be a really good episode today. So why don't we kick off, Jamie, by if you let everyone know what business you're in and what specifically that involves day to day.
Yeah, no worries. So, as you mentioned, I run my business with my now wife, Marissa. So we've got an e-commerce business that's been running for about 4.5 years now. So it's going quite strong. Every year we've sort of improved. So it's going from strength to strength. Predominantly sales are on Amazon, but we do our sales also on eBay, and we've got our own website. So the focus, I think, for us is to continue what we're doing and push with new launches and things like that.
Excellent. Okay. So our interview today is going to be split into 3 parts, as always. So part 1, where you were, part 2, where you are now, and part 3, where you want to get to. So first, can you tell our listeners, Jamie, where you used to work and what you used to do?
Yeah, so I used to be in recruitment. So that would have been about starting 10.5 years ago. So I started in recruitment, did that for about 7.5 years. I liked it at the beginning for about 5 years. It was fine. Then I started to get a bit down. It was a bit boring. I couldn't motivate myself. So at that period, that's when I met my wife. Or wife to be, I should say, and she could tell something wasn't really right at that time. So she was persuading me there's more to life than money. So we started our sort of journey to sort of become entrepreneurs and run our own business and that sort of thing. It took a long time for me. It took a 5-year period. So Marissa quit her job after about 2.5, and I was 2.5 years later. After recruitment, I did a bit of HR, senior management. But like I say, I think after the first 5 years, I was ready to jump. So it was a long time.
Well, I'll pause you there so we don't jump ahead too far. So yeah, you kind of mentioned that, but was there a specific point? Can you remember a specific point where you suddenly realised, okay, I don't want to work for someone else any longer? And you know, what were the steps after you'd had that mindset shift that you really then committed to?
Yeah, so I mean, it actually started again meeting my wife at the time. Before then, I honestly thought I'd work for another 40 years as a corporate job. I never had an entrepreneurial bone in my body, and I didn't think it was an option for me. I thought you had to be a genius to sort of have your own job. So it was actually her who persuaded me to first off do a course. So we were out one night, and we've been going out for I think about 3 months at this period. And the course was $4,000. So it was a property course, part of the Rich Dad program. So you can imagine me not got an entrepreneurial bone, and someone's telling me after I've just gone out for 3 months saying we should pay $4,000 to tell someone how to buy properties. You know what? Whilst I wouldn't say the $4,000 changed my life in the sense that I wanted to just go into property or anything, it changed my mindset. And therefore, I think it was the best money I've ever spent. I should note that Marissa did say she would give me $2,000 back if I didn't believe in it. So she also handed me a book that she read 10 years ago. I think you're all aware, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Those two combined, my mind was basically set. So that was the point. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and having someone tell me there's more to life. The other thing was we went, I remember this very clearly. I remember the day we went to Paris for her birthday, and we met one of her friends, because she's from Argentina and her friend was in Argentina, was in Paris at the same time. And he's a multimillionaire, a genius, and he told us about Amazon. And again, he told us about this course, and this course was $4,000. It's something about $4,000, these courses. But we trusted him. And again, we had 24 hours to think about it, and we took the plunge. And that was the best decision I ever made. And probably within about 6 months, we were selling our first product. And within about 3 months, we had about £70,000 in turnover. So straight off, we were quite successful. And I said that was probably the 6 months where I thought, I'll give it a go. It worked. And there was no looking back after then.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant. It brings back all the memories for me as well, because it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad at that same point, just after you'd both signed up for that Rich Dad Property Mentoring Program, that Marissa found myself online because I was promoting and playing the Cashflow 101 game. And I was doing some coaching as well with Rich Dad at the time. I think this was probably about 2013. It was about a year before I actually left my job. And I put it out there. Marissa just contacted me like online, and we met up, didn't we? The three of us. We met in London. I think it was in Victoria. I remember the hotel, and we played Cashflow. And I think it was the first time I played it, probably the first time you'd played it, and possibly Marissa as well. And I think one of the crucial lessons is that, we all had a belief, and you've just said you were just your mindset was just starting to shift at that time. You were still like, what the hell's all this about, but it was starting to change. And then you invested again and you learned a new skill in terms of Amazon, but it doesn't happen overnight, does it? And I think this is such an important point that's worth stressing now for anyone listening. Anyone who's seriously wants to get out of the rat race, who wants to build a business where you have consistent income that is going to grow and it's going to become a true asset for you. It doesn't happen in 12 months. Like, you can take a lot of steps and get quite a long way along the line. You said you had some good turnover, pretty quickly, but it's been a long journey since then, hasn't it? And we're going to get into that, but definitely worth stressing that you've got to be committed, haven't you, to play the long game?
Yes, I agree. You if you make a decision quickly, then you may make a mistake. I mean, it will take time, and you have to accept it will take time, and then you'll be in a better place if you take your time, work out where you want to go, what you want to do, because obviously it's all about the long term, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So, Jamie, has it got closer to you kind of deciding to quit your job? What were some of the critical decisions that you had to make, or some of the parameters that you set yourself to help you decide exactly when you were going to make that leap?
Yeah, so I feel we did it quite well, actually. So obviously there's the two of us, we're a couple. So what we first decided is we'll do it step by step. So the first point of call was we both had full-time jobs when we met and when we started the business. The first goal was to cover basically half of Marissa's wage. And as soon as we did that, Marissa went part-time. Then the next goal was, once we've covered her full wage, she would quit completely. So we managed to do that. Now, in the middle of, I think, between her going part-time and her quitting completely, I was quite adamant that if she is going to quit completely, we should have a second source of income. That was always quite important to me. So using the money from our jobs and the money we made from the business, it was still early days, we bought a buy-to-let property. So that was quite important for me. So now we had two streams of income. Then the next point was for obviously me to go part-time and me to quit. That was the plan. So I went to my boss and I asked if I could go part-time. There were redundancies being made in the company. I thought it might help them. And he said no. And I tell you what, when you know you want to quit, you're not scared of redundancy anymore. In fact, you want it. So it was a really good time for me. And the worst answer I could have got was, no, we're keeping you on a full time. So that was, I suppose, expected, but not what I wanted. So the next step was for me to cover my wage. Again, I was quite reticent about having only one buy-to-let property. So we made sure we built enough money to buy a second. So 6 months before I completely quit, we bought our second buy-to-let, and the money we make from our property now covers our rent wherever we live in the world. So it's kind of one thing we don't have to ever worry about ever again in that sense. And the money from the business just needed to cover our expenses now, our food, our travel, bits and pieces. And when we finally did it, I still said we have to do it for 6 months at least. So I set a date. I listened to Rob Moore. I think you do too. I think you might have interviewed him.
Yeah.
He always says, put a date in the diary and stick to it. I put the end of January 2018. I extended it by a month the closer it got because I wanted my bonus. But I had that date and I stuck to it and I quit as soon as it got to the end.
What was the Escape the Rat Race date? Can you remember, Jamie?
Yeah, I had a 3-month notice period, so it was the longest period in the world, but I finally left 25th of May 2018.
Wow.
2 weeks before I got married.
Yeah. Oh well, congratulations on that. That's so really still pretty new to the freedom. So that moves us nicely into part 2 then, Jamie, which is where you are right now. So we've just said, how long ago was it since you quit the rat race? So like 5-6 months or so?
Yeah, about 5 months, 4 months, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And can you share with us 3 of the biggest realizations that you've had since transitioning from being an employee to becoming a business owner?
Yeah. The first one is I think working in an office over working from home, it can be very appealing to save money and work from home. And just work on your business. Being online, all you need is a laptop and the internet, and you can save money that way. However, my home is my home. My kitchen is where I eat. My living room's where I watch TV. My bedroom's where I sleep. I needed an escape. I needed to be around like-minded people, and the money we spent having an office with 200 other entrepreneurs was the best thing I ever did. So the first one by a mile. If anyone has doubts, honestly, working by yourself in a room, I wouldn't recommend it. You can do it for so long before you'll want to quit yourself. So that for me is always definitely the biggest. The other realization I think for me was to, I think, focus sort of one thing at a time. About 2 years ago, we launched 3 brands at once, and it was a mess. I mean, we were spread too thinly, and we couldn't push any one, so we were kind of just hoping something would stick. Now my realization is we need to focus for one thing at a time in this business. You can put all your advertising money to one new launch. You can put all your social media to it. You can split test the new product that you're launching. If you spread yourself too thinly, to be honest, it's going to take you longer to get there. So that was quite a big realization, is really focus one thing. So, and step 3 for me, it might be a little thing, but it's huge for me, is just waking up when I want, going to work when I want, leaving when I want, and basically wearing what I want. I wear a t-shirt and jeans every day now because it's comfortable, and I never wear a suit again. My favorite quote of all time, and I'm going to have this on my wall one day, is men in suits look really successful until you realize they work for the men in t-shirts and jeans. And just me walking around the city in my t-shirt and jeans, I'm not there yet, but it makes me smile, and that's my third realization.
I like that. I've not heard that before, but I do like it. Yeah, really funny actually, because I used to work in the music industry, as you know, and I was always just jeans and hoodies. But since actually I've left and started Escape the Rat Race, I find myself actually dressing up more than I ever used to. So it's kind of the reverse in a funny way. But I really like your first 2 points there, and I totally agree. Working from home is something that people don't talk about when you kind of quit the rat race, but it's tough. It's really like mentally tough, because you've got to be such a self-starter. You're the boss of you. Suddenly you've got to decide exactly what the priorities are each day. And also for many people, they need that human interaction. They need that energy from other people, even if it's just having a chat over a cup of coffee and sharing a couple of ideas. But it just gives you that that boost, doesn't it, to kind of keep going.
Didn't realize how big it would be, but it's massive. It shouldn't be underestimated.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Okay, fantastic. And what's the one thing out of all of those, what's the one thing that you love most now about having your own business?
I think in about 5 weeks' time, I'm going to do something I've wanted to do for the last, 20 years of my life. So basically, when you have an e-commerce business, all you need is basically a laptop and the internet connection. So we have decided we're going to travel the world for about 8-9 months. We're going to go to South America. We're going to go Central America, Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia. We're basically going to do what I've wanted to do all my life. So for me, it's the dream, and I'm living out my dream all of a sudden. So I couldn't do that. I could maybe take a gap year and then go back to a corporate life, but I can choose when I do this, you know. So for me, that's massive. And in the future, Marissa and I have talked about, you know, when it's winter in the UK, let's go off to the Caribbean or something and work, you know. So that's huge.
No, that truly is the dream, you know. Everyone's looking for that freedom, you know, that laptop lifestyle almost, because literally you will be able to run your business sitting on the beach as long as you've got an internet connection, right?
Yeah, that's it. And that for me is the one thing you've just mentioned is the freedom. And because we've got it, we're going to do what we've always wanted to do. It's going to be amazing, hopefully.
That's so cool. That is so cool. I'm so looking forward to seeing all the updates along the way. So moving into part 3 then, where you want to get to, Jamie. So did you set yourself any goals or targets when you decided to leave your job and start your own business? And have you reached those yet? And it sounds like you're about to.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the first goal was obviously to cover our wages. So when I quit, we already had done that. So the first sort of 6 months was to prepare ourselves for the traveling. So half our time is currently spent on the business, and half the time is trying to sort out all our errands and put stuff in storage and things like that. So the business side, it was basically maintaining and not losing focus of the business. That was quite key. We have got a couple of new launches, and we're slowly but surely trying to get our sales up on our website, because it's quite important. I said we've got one income source from Amazon. We've got one income source from our buy-to-let properties. I would like a bigger income source from our websites. So that's definitely a goal I've set. We're launching new products. It's always important to expand. If you rest on your laurels, Rob Moore, I'll quote him, if you're not moving forward, I think you're standing still or you're dying, one of those, he says. It's so true. Even if you think you're doing well, you'll get more competitors, prices will increase, your margins will decrease. So you've got to always launch new things. And the long-term goal for me is to basically be hands-off. Hire an MD, hire a team. Hopefully they look after the business. It will bring us the money to cover our expenses. That will allow us, Marissa and I, to follow more of our passions. So that's the long-term goal in 5 years.
Yeah, no, really, really great. And what's the one most important thing that you think will help you over the next 12 months continue to build the business, Jamie?
I think having a clear focus and strategy is really important. Like I said, when we did our 3 brands, it was just throwing stuff at the wall, hope it will stick. We have really taken our time. We're amalgamating certain products in a couple of different brands into one. So complete focus strategy, have action plans, have goals, targets, and review them all the time. And with for the first time, honestly, in probably 4 years, we're so clear on the direction we want to take this business, and it feels really good that way. I think the other one as well, if you know, it's additional to what I've just mentioned, is we don't have unrealistic expectations. We know that the brand we currently have isn't going to make us £10 million a year, and you've got to realise the limit that it has. So, like I said, our goal, once we can cover our expenses with other people running it, we're going to move on and we're going to develop other things. If we're trying to chase the millions out of this brand, we'll probably chase forever and we'll never leave it. And you're kind of then stuck in your own little escape the rat race. So for me, that's kind of the other important one thing to realise as well. Don't have unrealistic expectations. Set yourself a goal and try and hit that goal and move forward.
Yeah. Just one additional thing I'd like to ask you, Jamie. Maybe it'd be useful for people listening. The fact that you've had Marissa and the fact that you two have been a partnership all the way through this, how much do you think that has helped accelerate the business and the progress?
Yeah, we wouldn't be anywhere near as far forward as we would be without each other, I think. In fact, I don't even think I could do this by myself. And Marissa, while she is much more advanced than I am, I think she would even struggle. I think having a business partner, at least a mentor, minimum, I would say, you can't do it on your own, or if you do it on your own, you might do it at the start, but I don't see many people. Even the greatest people have business partners. The greatest people have mentors. There's a reason for that. So for me, it's crucial. Couldn't do it without her. For me, that's genuine.
Yeah, because there's certainly a lot of bumps and highs and lows along the way, aren't there? And many times, probably over the last 4 or 5 years, you've questioned: are we doing the right thing? Shall we continue? I think that's every entrepreneur's story. Yeah. Okay, Jamie, so final words here for anyone listening right now. They're squashed up on a train on their way to work or stuck in that traffic jam, and they really want to do something different with their lives, but perhaps something's holding them back. Most likely it's fear. What would you like to say to them right now?
So obviously we've all been there. I've been there. Marissa has been there. I would probably say, first off, picture the long term. And, will you be happy continuing on the path you've set yourself? Just forget about the money when you're thinking about whether you want to be an entrepreneur, because if it's just to do with money, maybe stay where you are, get a few promotions, do a bit of work on the side. If your why, and there's hundreds of reasons why, is powerful enough and you're prepared to put the hard work in, for the short term, for the long term, then that's the important thing. So I know you've mentioned it before, it is finding your why, but it shouldn't be about money. Some people use money as their why. I don't think that's sometimes strong enough. The other thing as well is, if you've got an idea, that's not enough. Everyone has an idea. Putting into action is what it's all about, and that's what makes entrepreneurs. So what I would say is, if you are serious about it and your why is strong enough, start today. Don't say you're going to start tomorrow. Go home tonight and just do something, and then tomorrow do a little bit more, but don't keep on saying start tomorrow. Do something today and get in that mindset where you do stuff today. I think that's quite important. So like I say, find your reason why and start.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
Jamie,
watch that trademark.
You've been an absolute inspiration today. I've really, really enjoyed catching up with you, hearing your story. It's been, I want to thank you for being a great supporter for Escape the Rat Race. Both you and Marissa, you've been to many events over the last 3 years or so since we set up. So hopefully I'll get to wave you bon voyage before you both head off, and we can have a drink and catch up there. So thanks again for being a great guest today, and we'll speak very soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Christine.